Robert, thank you for taking the time for us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
I've been looking forward to this.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
We made a consultant training, me and a few other scouts, we made it, and we have now consultants worldwide as voluntaries to work with the NSOs to make the program, to make actually for the kids it's better.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And I thought in that whole module we need the logical levels. As for me they're very valuable, but they're also sometimes hard to grasp for people.
Sure.
So for me, one of the questions I have, could you tell shortly how you came about with it and how you use them if you are consulting yourself?
Sure. First of all, also just let me say I'm just really happy to be doing something for the Scouts. I was in the United States, I was an Eagle Scout.
Wow.
So was the kind of reached the highest level. And it was in the Scouts that I learned to do most of the things that I'm doing professionally today. How to be a leader, how to work with teams. Because I was, you know, when I was in the Scouts, I wasn't the biggest guy. I certainly wasn't, the fastest or the strongest. But one of the things I noticed working with Scouts is that, for example, the guys who were the bullies in class couldn't be good leaders because you can't bully somebody to do something that they don't know how to do, right? And so, leading people in teams and being able to set a goal and being able to get people who have different competences to work together. I mean, those are some of the things that were the bedrock of my life. So I'm really happy to be contributing to the Scouts. And I think this notion of the different levels is really important certainly as a consultant. And there's 6 levels, and they do relate to each other. So we say there's a difference between doing things right, which is, okay, I did my job, and doing the right things, which is
a different thing.
We're going to, it's actually effective to achieve the goal. And so I think as a consultant, we're saying I need to look at what's our desired state, what are we trying to get to, and how do those levels, we say they need to be aligned. That what I'm doing is aligned with, the know-how that we have, with the values and the motivation, which is also aligned with who we are and what's the bigger purpose. Then you're looking at the present state. Well, so what's happening now?
What do we do with it?
What isn't aligned? What does need to be? What's missing that needs to be there in order for that to happen? And then what's going to be the path? How are we going to get there? What kind of training is going to be necessary? But sometimes it's not a function of just training, it's a function of role modeling. Sometimes it's a function of advising. Sometimes I've got to kind of go beyond that. I've got to be a teacher, not just a coach. And sometimes I've got to be a mentor or an advisor or a role model. And this is, I think, something that's important for both consultants, but it's also, again, something that was so clear in Scouts, that you learn values not by being told what the values are, but you see it in the role models. You learn from the role models. And that's also not only where you pick up the values, but you pick up that sense of identity. And so that becomes an important thing for a consultant is I can't just explain to everybody you should have these beliefs and you should have these values. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. So
good luck with it.
Good luck. And so that's why I think in things like Scouts, it's very interesting because you get all of those levels. You're not just sitting around talking about things, you're doing things, you've got role models, you're developing a sense of a more full identity. And so when I say this idea, awakener means somebody you're able to be awakened to a possibility that you maybe didn't know or was possible for you, or that you didn't even know existed. So I think that that's oftentimes what Scouts also can do for people. Like I say, for me, it awakened in me the realization that I could be a leader. I could be somebody who made a difference. I wouldn't have known that. But again, what this is the interesting thing. They became BOSS, but I don't think they wouldn't in Scouts, because it doesn't work that way.
And for me, they didn't become leaders.
Yes,
they became the boss.
Right. The boss, but not the leader.
And for me, that's a difference.
Yeah.
You give me beautiful insights. Like one of the things that I remember is that Baden-Powell always would say, "Leave your camp better behind than you found it," and that could be on a foundation level. Make it clean when you leave. But it could be also on identity level that we have the responsibility to leave this earth a little bit better than we found it.
Better than we found it. I think,
the same as the book he wrote, Paddle Your Own Canoe.
Yes.
It's also taking that responsibility
and accountability.
So for me, as a question still, if I think about the logical levels, and I think I understand them, and how do you determine then where your attention would go? Because for me, it always helps to listen to where the problem lays, so I know better where to put my attention. How do you do that?
Well, so a couple of things. First of all, when I'm looking for things, I'm usually going to check from the highest levels first, right? Because if the highest levels are not clear, it doesn't matter. You can have, you can have all the funding, you can have all the resources, and they're going to be misused or wasted if these other levels are not aligned and not in place. So
so always an alignment, you
always
say.
Alignment is always the key. And then I think there are things that you can listen for, because sometimes I'm just asking. You can just ask people, is the vision clear? And if people say yes, say, great, tell me if it's so clear. Tell me what it is. I really like to know. Inspire me with the vision.
Because for every NSO, that is okay to be different.
One of the interesting things too, I like to say, and this is another thing I learned, is that when you have a vision, because, for example, like you were just saying, this idea of leaving the world a better place than you find it, that's a kind of a vision. But now that doesn't look like that could have many expressions. So I like to say, not everybody has to see the same picture, but you have to be looking in the same direction. So that's the thing. And so we start to listen, though, to, you'll hear what I call resonance in that case. If people have to say the same thing, but there's a sense of resonance. And typically also that sense of vision is going to be accompanied by a sense of not only clarity, but of inspiration. So if you go to a company, that's one of the first things I'm looking for. Are people inspired? So I'll give you an example. Let me actually give you a little, both an example, first a metaphor and then an example, because sometimes it's easier to explain these levels in metaphor. So my metaphor is about there's these 6 stone workers, okay, and the stone workers, they all have the same tools and they all have the same material, right? So they've got their chisel and their hammer and they've got their blocks of stone. But as you watch them, you can see that there is a big difference in their in their quality of work. One does not do very well, and the other is like exquisite work. So let's say you come to the first person who does the worst work, and this person is kind of like, and you say, "What are you doing?" And the person says, "Well, I'm waiting for my shift to be over so I can go home."
Wait for my lunch break.
Right. So for this person, it's just environment. Okay. If you go to the second person's maybe a little bit more involved, and you say, "What are you doing?" The person says, "What does it look like I'm doing?" I'm hitting the stone with my tool. That's what I'm doing. So that's just a behavior. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You go to the third guy. Third person is more involved, more engaged, doing fairly decent work. And you say, what are you doing? And this person says, well, I'm using my skill to sculpt the stone. Mm-hmm. So for this person, it's an engagement of their capability. Yeah. And it's not just a behavior. It's my know-how. I'm using my know-how. Great. You go to the fourth person. This person is, really engaged, is involved, seems to be, quite motivated to their work. And you say, well, what are you doing? This person says, well, I'm earning a living for my family. I'm putting my kids through school to have a life that I didn't get. Yeah. So for this person, it's about values. Their personal values. Great. Wow. You go to the fifth person. Now this person is doing really exquisite work. You can tell that they're really engaged. And not only that, they're looking at the work of others and trying to encourage them. Come on, let's do this. And you say to this person, what are you doing? And this person says, well, I'm a stonemason and I'm building a cathedral. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Step by step. So for this person, it's a role and it's a mission. I'm building a cathedral, and I am a master mason. Mm-hmm. Wow. You go to the last guy. Now this person, it's like you can see that every tap, it's like their full attention is there. It's almost like, this stone is it's an expression of themselves in a way. Mm-hmm. And you ask this person, not only that, so not only is this person doing this, but the others are sometimes stopping to watch what he's doing because it's so exquisite and he seems to be so, it's like so important. And you say to that person, well, what are you doing? And this person says, I'm creating a space where people can get close to their soul and close to God for 1,000 years to come. That's what I'm doing. Wow. Right. Now, they're all using the same tool and have the same stone. What's the difference? Which level am I engaging and which level am I aligned, right? And, for one, great, my family, that's great. But for that guy at the top, this is 1,000 years. Yeah. This is beyond my life. This is about this bigger vision. Yeah. And it's not even about that it's a cathedral. What is the cathedral for? It's for this thing. And what you're going to see is the greatest leaders are like that sixth person. You have good leaders are like the fifth one. Right? Yeah. I build a beautiful cathedral. I'm building a beautiful cathedral. But the ones who are, building the world for 1,000 years, like let's leave the world a better place. Mm-hmm. That's where you see the leaders, and I think that's where the leadership of Scouts came from that kind of vision. Yeah. And of course, okay, guys, we're going to learn to be a team and work together. That's great too, but it's like, when you get that highest level,
there's so much more
than just this. And it's not only about the performance, it's about what it brings to you and what it brings to others. Yeah. So then given that, I said, so that's my metaphor. And then, so again, if you think about, well,
so we are so much more than just consultants.
Right, exactly. We're awakeners.
Yes.
But also, we say not only coach to awakener, but consultant to awakener. But I would say, then if you listen, the simple thing, what are you doing? Yeah. You listen to what your answer is. Well, I'm doing this, or I'm engaging this, or I'm creating that. So if you hear that language is going to tell you, and of course, as I said, not only the language, but you can see people's level of engagement and why moving from vision to action is important. Mm. So, but notice, you don't just tell people, hey, you're going to change people's lives. The people come in and to awaken them. So you've got to see and experience the benefit. You got to somehow know it, not as an idea, but as a felt experience. So I think this is important for consultants to keep in mind.
Yeah, and thank you. So you inspired me as well, because I knew you were a scout. I knew you became an Eagle Scout, but I didn't know you were so still with your mind, and that you learned so much in your later life. So thank you so much for this time, and give us a left hand like scouts do. Thank you, Robert, for this time.
And you're welcome. And I keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you.
You make a difference. You're putting it down.
Thank you.